Beautiful souls, and welcome back to Unbreakable-You, the podcast where we rise from the ashes and reclaim our worth, one powerful episode at a time. I'm your host, Olga, your healing and empowerment mentor, and today's episode is one that many of us live through but rarely speak about: self-betrayal. This episode is one for every woman who has put her own needs on the back burner. It's for every mother who has silenced her truth to keep the peace. And it's for every partner who has sacrificed her boundaries for love. So I want to start with what self-betrayal is and why it matters. And before I go into the depth of it, I want to ask you a question. Have you ever felt like you've abandoned yourself in order to be loved? And if your answer is yes, just know you're not broken. You're human. Because self-betrayal is the act of turning away from your inner truth, your voice, or even your boundaries and your values in order to meet some external expectations. And in the book written by Brene Brown, the Gift of Imperfection, highly recommending you to read that. The author says, when we trade authenticity for approval, we may experience this acceptance that we long for, but it's hollow. So how does self-betrayal show up in everyday life? I'm going to give you a few examples and try to think if you've experienced any of those. When you say yes, but your whole body wants to say no. When you stay in a job or in a relationship that actually drains your soul. When you're laughing off a boundary that was violated instead of speaking up. When you're ignoring your body's signals because you simply don't have time. And when you're dimming your light so others don't feel insecure. And once you think about this, I want to give you a quote from the book Untamed. When a woman finally learns that pleasing the world is impossible, she becomes free to learn how to please herself. And so before we go on, think for yourself. What is one area in your life where you feel that you've silenced your truth? I would love to hear your thoughts. Comment below, message me, let me know what you think, because where have you been feeling that tension between who you are today and who you've been pretending to be? And that's very important to know because I want to explain the root cause of these possible situations. One root cause could be just childhood conditioning. We learned from our childhood very early on that love is conditional and it's based on behavior, it's based on performance, or even silence. If you do this, you'll get this. Okay, so that's conditioning. And so you learn to be a people pleaser in order to get whatever it is that you're trying to get. Another root cause for this could be just people pleasing as protection. Sometimes we learn that in order to keep others happy, to keep others happy, in order for us to keep our physically or emotionally safe, to keep ourselves in that safe moment. And, when we focus so much on what other people needs, we lose the touch with ourselves. Our life begins to just revolve around fixing and helping and pleasing. And it also could be a reason of some unhealed trauma, especially in emotionally unsafe homes. We disconnect from our needs in order to survive. And that's called phoning, a trauma response where you just basically do things in order to avoid the danger. And if that resonates with you, please write survival mode in the chat. But just know this is not weakness. It's wisdom that helped you survive. And now I want you to be able to thrive for this. Release it. You deserve that release. There's a high cost for self-betrayal. There are consequences, and I want to talk about them not as a blame, but as an awareness. When you betray yourself repeatedly, you're actually experiencing burnout. You're emotionally disconnected. You have this like resentment and difficulty of trusting yourself. You have an identity confusion. You're basically asking yourself, who even am I anymore? In the book, The Mountain Is You, there's this beautiful quote. The greatest act of self-love is choosing yourself when it would be easier not to. And I want you to learn how to build and honor yourself by healing. The very first step is to heal your self-betrayal. It's not quick. It's a relationship that you build, but it's a relationship with yourself, which I think is the most important relationship out there. And the way you start healing is by this radical self-honesty. Ask yourself, where have I been lying to myself to keep the peace? Once you know the answer to that, rebuild your self-trust through small, tiny acts. Each time you honor your needs, even if it's a tiny way, just tell yourself, tell your inner self, you matter to me. The most important thing is to begin. Begin to listen. Begin to understand that your inner voice is wise. Daily check in with yourself. Ask, what do I need right now? Listen to yourself, respond to yourself, and repeat to yourself. There is a step of mirror work, which is so important for self-love. And if you're interested in that, please let me know and I will send you more information about that. That mirror work, and I'll give you just a blink of it. Look at yourself in the eyes each morning and say, I will not abandon you today. It is so powerful. And at first, when you look at yourself in the mirror, it would be so hard for you to look at your own eyes. But trust me, that works. Boundaries are sacred. Boundaries are not walls. They are clarity. They are a love language to your future self. Let's do this together. Say it out loud with me or write it in the chat. I am safe to be me. I honor my voice. I choose me. And here's the truth that I want you to leave with today. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to choose yourself, even if others don't understand. Your healing is your rebellion. Your self and self-loyalty is your revolution. And today's takeaway, write down, where in my life am I being called to stop betraying myself and start honoring who I am? Thank you so much for joining me today on this sacred journey. If this episode stirs something inside you, if you feel ready to stop betraying yourself and start standing in your truth, then share this with a sister who needs it. Remember, you are not too much. You are not selfish for choosing you. You are unbreakable. Until next time, stay true, stay powerful, stay free. Love you all.